If you've been paying attention to what's happening in DC lately, you've probably noticed something. People aren't just talking about leaving anymore, they're actually doing it. And that's not because people suddenly hate DC, it's because they want more space, more flexibility, and a lifestyle that actually feels sustainable without completely disconnecting from the city. But here's the thing I'm seeing that most people miss. The places they're moving to are not random. There's a very clear pattern forming. My name's Eddie, a local realtor, and I help people relocate across the DC metro region and from all across the country. And in this video, I'm going to cover the Maryland suburbs that are actually pulling people out of DC, why these places keep popping up with my client, and why many of them are about to get a lot more competitive. Let's start with the big picture pattern first. Most DC buyers are not saying, I want to leave the region. What they're saying is, I want my life to feel easier and like I'm getting more for my money. They want more space at home and less pressure every weekend, and a setup that works long term for them. And once buyers realize that they don't need to be 10 minutes from downtown DC anymore, their options open up, and that's where the suburbs come in. And one of the hottest Maryland suburbs that's pulling people out of DC is Gaithersburg. And Gaithersburg, Maryland is about 30 to 40 minutes from DC by car, and it's right along I-270, the major highway connecting to DC. And it's about 35 minutes or so using the Metro Rail from the Shady Grove Metro Station in Gaithersburg to Union Station in DC. And Gaithersburg is often a first step out of DC. It's for people who want to stay relatively close to the city, but still feel like they can get that taste of the suburb life. It has more space than a Bethesda or downtown Silver Spring, and a wide range of housing options and price points. It's a very common move for hybrid commuters who still need access to DC but want more breathing room. But this is not for someone who wants charm and character and nightlife. Gaithersburg has the suburban sprawl feel with shopping centers where the restaurants are and no real downtown. And the second suburb pulling people out of DC is Rockville. And this is one of the first places that shows up on your list when you start Googling where to move outside of DC. It's roughly 25 minutes by car into DC with no traffic and about 33 minutes on the same metro rail that you could take from Gaithersburg. And Rockville attracts people who want to leave the DC density, but not entirely. They like that it has the metro access, but a real town center that still gives that city feel. They like that it has great restaurants and walkability and proximity to major employment hubs across Montgomery County where it's housed. This is a natural move for people that still want that DC urban feel, but just toned down a little bit. Now, if you're looking for huge houses with yards, Rockville would not be the right fit. And that's because many of the houses were built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, smaller ranchers, Cape Cods, and split levels and split foyers that just simply don't have the square footage that many people are looking for, but are a great starter or midlife home. And the other side of Rockville has luxury townhouses and condos, so you do have other options and a higher price point that are newer, but there's not as many options as a place like Gaithersburg. And the third suburb pulling people out of DC is Columbia, Maryland, often ranked one of the best places for families in the entire United States. And it's located just to the northeast of DC, about 30 to 40 minutes away by car, and there is no metro rail access here. And Columbia is all about long-term livability. People are drawn here because of the schools, the Howard County Public School System being ranked one of the top public school systems in the entire nation. They like the trails, the parks, the green space, and definitely that suburban vibe. In Columbia, while it's actually a city on paper, in reality, it's one big planned community of over 100,000 residents. So this is a big place, but it's a big sprawl. So while you won't have any charm here like you would in other cities, you're going to have a ton of amenities and access nearby, including being just 15 minutes or so from BWI Airport. And Columbia is a big draw for those looking to maybe build a family and they just want a place to start where they can stay for a while. And with it having such a large variety of home styles and price points, there's pretty much something for everybody in Columbia. And just a few minutes to the west of Columbia is another suburb that draws people out of DC regularly. And this is a place that also draws them out of places like Pennsylvania and Virginia and West Virginia, and that's Ellicott City. Now, just like Columbia, it's about 40 minutes to DC by car, and it does not have a metro rail station, but it's known as one of the most accessible towns to Baltimore. So, if you maybe have a split household where someone works in Washington, D.C., and someone works in Baltimore, this could be a very good option for you. And people move here for a similar reason that they do in Columbia, and that's the top ranked Howard County Public Schools. But on top of that, you have larger yards, bigger houses, and more character in Old Town Ellicott City, which is a really charming town to walk through and go out and grab a bite to eat. Ellicott City also has an extremely strong resale ability, even in down markets, and so much of this is due to Howard County protecting its population. With schools being such an important factor in this county, they've put a lot of limits on new construction communities, and because of that, houses here hold their value very well. And this is a common forever home type of place, a place where you're going to live for a very long time and have almost no reason to leave. But again, if you want new construction, new condos, new townhouses, you won't find so many of them in Howard County, small pockets here and there, but again, they're very protective of their land and for good reason. And the fifth suburb that draws people out of DC is one that doesn't make a lot of top lists, but it really should. And before we dive into that, if you haven't already grabbed a copy of my free relocation roadmap that tells you the next steps to take when you move from out of state or out of the country to Maryland, whether you have a house to sell or not, that is right in the description below. So make sure to grab a copy of that before you leave this video. All right, and that fifth suburb is Clarksburg, Maryland. Now, this is right along I-270, similar to Rockville and Gaithersburg, but it's much closer to Frederick, Maryland, which is on the northern side of DC. And the draw here is the communities and the access to I-270. It's about as far north as you can go while still having Montgomery County Public Schools, which is also a huge draw, similar to Howard County. Both have highly ranked schools and fight each other in the top charts of who has the best. And while you don't have a metro stop here, it ends in Gaithersburg. The drive to the Shady Grove metro station is really easy if you do want to take advantage of that access. And what draws people here is newer homes than Gaithersburg and Rockville. Clarksburg is a newer suburb or town, which means there are much newer homes, newer projects that have just completed in the last year alone. You also get more space for the money and some pretty great amenities with places like the premium outlets sitting right off of I-270 in the biggest community and most popular community in Clarksburg called Cabin Branch. But this is definitely not for buyers who want nightlife or a lot of things to do on the weekend. This is a true suburb where it's just the houses and some shopping centers and not that many of them as well. And this sixth suburb that's pulling people out of DC is one that I just truly love, and that's Newmarket. And it's not just Newmarket itself, it's its most popular and largest neighborhood called Lake Linganore. And this is such a popular spot for families moving not only out of DC, but out of Baltimore as well, who want to grow into a community with a ton of events and a true community feel where you can be a part of it. And people are drawn to its lake and beaches. There's 2 private beaches here that are just awesome to take your family to on a nice warm day. You can go paddleboarding, swimming, and you can even take an electric boat on the lake or a small sailboat. But on top of that, there are 4 pools and community centers here. There's indoor racket club, outdoor tennis courts, walking and hiking trails everywhere. And one of the coolest things about this community is that it's a golf cart community. And that's one of the cool features. If you're looking for something unique, like driving your kids to school in a golf cart or down to the lake in a golf cart, this is the place for that. A true resort feel, but still within commuting distance to DC and Baltimore. It also has its own historic downtown in Newmarket where you can go and grab a bite to eat or go check out a parade various times throughout the year. So this just has so much to offer for families looking for a long-term spot to settle. But this is not for somebody who doesn't like an HOA and needs quick commuting options to DC. This is more for maybe a hybrid worker that goes in 1 or 2 days a week max, because the commute is not fun. While it's about 50 minutes to an hour from DC on paper, it ends up being closer to 2, and that's a lot of driving if you're doing it every day. All right, in the 7th place, pulling people out of DC is Frederick, Maryland. And this is one of my favorite cities in the state, one of my favorite cities anywhere in the US, and it's because it has an incredible amount of charm. This is a true historic city with over 200 local shops, restaurants, and businesses in the downtown section alone, meaning there's something to do every weekend. Tons of events, tons of restaurants, and people are just drawn here in droves, which has shown in recent years with all of the new construction. And for DC movers, Frederick often doesn't feel like a compromise because there's so much to do. And while it's a totally different feel from DC, you don't feel like you're giving up a lot, and you still get the space you need, more for your money, and a ton of great restaurants and great things to do on the weekends. So this is probably the most popular spot on the list for DC movers, and I really see why. And just like Newmarket, it's really not the place for you if you need to commute to DC every single day. And while people do it, and there is a MARC train which does go down to DC, it takes a very long time, and people just think it's a little too much for every day. Now, why do these places keep winning? Well, it's because you get more value for the money, a stronger sense of community, and you're still connected to DC. People aren't just leaving DC, they're repositioning their lifestyle. And right now, these places are still accessible. But as competition picks up, expect them to have lower inventory and higher prices, things that I've already seen in just the past few years alone. So if you are thinking of leaving DC, or maybe a busy place in Northern Virginia, and these suburbs seem like they might be a good fit for you, this is a great time to explore. Now, I wouldn't panic and I wouldn't rush thinking that you're gonna miss the boat, but I wouldn't wait too long to do it. Get in now while you can build some equity and before the rest of DC catches on. Now, if you want help narrowing down the right community based on commute, lifestyle, and what it really feels like to live in these places, that's exactly what I'm here for. You can book a call with me and we'll cover everything you need to know so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Just go to the link in the description below and schedule a one-on-one call with me. And whether your move is 2 months out or over a year away, it's never too soon to hop on a call and get a strategy and a plan together for your move. And if you want more details on the housing shift that I see coming in 2026, I'll link that video above. Make sure to take a look about what you should be doing before the market takes off. Again, my name is Eddie, and I'll see you on the next one.